Hey Elijah. So I'm gonna try to make this as quick, but also as clear as I can at the same time. So what it seems to me you're saying is when you get to this step. So if you've done all your math, say you've got 3 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 20 over 4. Again, I'm just making some stuff up. You add 16 and 20 to get 36. So you get to this next point. However, you got to simplify the square root is going to determine what you do for the next step. I know I was kind of all over the place in class today, but when I was talking about simplifying the radical, again, this is why I was looking at how I talked about it before. So there's what I have is 8 total possibilities. It's really 3. One of those 3 can kind of be split up 2 different ways, and then all of them when you have a negative sign on them. But I'm going to start with 36. So whenever you have a perfect square, you just turn it into 6. So, if you had 2 plus or minus 6 over 4. I'm not using one from before. I'm just making up another example, okay? So when you turn it into a number, this is where you got to split it up. You got to say 2 plus 6 over 4. And then 2 minus 6 over 4. Here, 2 plus 6 is 8 over 4, which is 2. Here, 2 minus 6 is negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. So those would be your 2 answers, your 2 x's, okay? So x equals 2, x equals negative 1. When you have a number that is not a perfect square, but you can do a factor tree. Okay, I picked 32. I did 4 and 8. Again, if you picked 2 and 16, it doesn't matter because when you're doing the factor tree, your goal is to get down to all the prime factors, okay? So in this case, again, when I factor stuff, I like to cross it out. So I'm left with 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay? And again, the idea is I draw my square root symbol for every pair of 2s, or every, doesn't have to necessarily 2s, but any pair of the same factor I can make, I'm going to put one of those numbers outside. So put 1, 2 outside, put a second 2 outside, and then this 2, since it doesn't have a pair, goes back underneath. If I had another number, like let's say there was a kind of a 3 split off over here at the end, I would put the 3 underneath and then have 2 times 3, which is 6. But I don't have that in this case. So I got 2 times 2 on the outside, which is 4. And then I still have the square root of 2 underneath. So I've turned the square root of 32 into this. So as far as the next step goes when you're working on it, again, flipping back to the front, if this was, I think I had 6 in the denominator on the back. So if this was 3, again, I'll go show on the back, but if this had been 32 instead, I'm going to write it real quick. All right, so this has been 32 instead. We would now have 3 plus or minus 4 square root 2 over 4. So now what we want to do here, and I kind of have it on the back, we want to see if the number outside the square root, my number in front, and then the number on the bottom, forgive the noise, can be simplified or have a common factor, okay? 3, 4, and 6, I can't divide by the same thing, so I'm not going to do anything, okay? 8 and 4 and 2, again, if you're thinking in terms of greatest common factor, you can divide those all by 2, okay? But, so it would be 4 plus or minus 2 square root 2 over 1. And of course, I need the one in the denominator. But when I can just divide these clean, you're just going to look at it like that and do 4 plus or minus 2 square root 2. Okay? Now over here, when I have 10, 4, and 14. So this is kind of what I was talking about up here. about finding the greatest common factor. Again, I can divide. I know my thumb's in the way there, sorry. Let me kind of try to adjust this. 10 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. Again, I'm not dealing with the 2 underneath the square root, so we're not dealing with that. And then 14 divided by 2. So this would give me 10 divided by 2 is 5. Trying to get it out of the way of my hand. Plus or minus the 4 divided by 2, that would still give me 2 square root 2. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. So that would be, forgive me for drawing on an envelope also, it's the first thing I had handy. That would be my final answer. I'm already going a little longer than I want, so I'm going to try to hurry up. So if I have 30, okay, I can do a factor tree for 30, but I've got 2, 5, and 3. Okay, I have all single factors, nothing I can pair up, okay? And with 19, so here I did a factor tree, but I couldn't pair anything up. Here with 19, all it's going to be is 1 and 19, so I can't even really do a factor tree with that. So there's nothing, I can't break it up like I did here and put the 4 on the outside, so this is just going to stay the square root of 30. This one's just going to stay the square root of 19, and again, with both of those, 2 plus or minus square root 30 over 6, 5 plus or minus square root 19 over 4. Those would be my final answers, okay? So now I did all the same numbers, but I added the negative sign in front. When we have the negative sign in front, that's when we have to split it up. 36 times the square root of negative 1. We know the square root of negative 1 is I. And then, again, we have, you know how we did 36, 32, 30, 19 here? We'll have the same thing here. I didn't write it for 30 and 19, but 36, 32. If you did want to write it for these, I'm writing it real quick. Okay. Again, I know this is I can't do a factor tree with that. This is I can't do a factor tree with that. So all these are going to have I on them. So I still know the square root of 36 is 6, so 6I. Okay, again, now if we're taking this as a problem, so now it's not quite like I had it up here, okay, because I can add 2 plus 6. I can do 2 minus 6. Those are like terms. I can't do the same thing down here. I can't do 8 plus 6I and get 14I, or 8 minus 6I and get 2I. I can't do that. So I can't add those up. What I can still do is try to divide these. 8 and 6 both divide by 2, so that would be 4 plus or minus 3I. Here I can't straight divide the denominator into these, but all those numbers, again, I can divide them by 2 and get 2 plus or minus 3I over 5. Okay? Back here, I is the square root of negative 1 is I. We already did the factor tree for 32 up there. We got 4 square root 2. So I got 4 square root 2 times I. So when I have the I and the square root, the I goes in front of the square root, but behind any number that's already out there. Okay, so this, I just did this first one. Okay, I'm still sticking to I. It's the same exact, except I still had the I there. Okay, even if I had the I there, again, that I is not affecting me dividing 8 by 2 and dividing 4 by 2. Even if I had the I here, that's not affecting me dividing 10, 4, and 14 by 2. So this would still be, in theory, 4 plus 2I, and then 5 plus or minus 2I square root 2 over 7. Okay? And again, for these last two, this would be I, like I said, times 30. I did the factor tree, but again, no pairs. So I times 30, which is I square root 30, like this. Again, since there's no number out here, I can just leave my answer like that. And same thing with the 19. So I know it was a little long. We're going to clock in about 9.5 minutes here, but I hope that helps. If you still got any questions, let me know.